Breaking today, scumbag Stephen Fry just lost his national treasure status officially after the Harry Potter narrator became the latest celebrity connected to JK Rowling's book series to turn on the author altogether. He joins a club of horrible people. That includes Eddie Redmayne, that includes Emma Watson, that includes Daniel Radcliffe, that includes Rupert Grint. And he has gone for JK Rowling, who, can we all just remember, is standing up for the rights of women to protect women from sexual assault. That is it. But look at this. Look at this headline in the Mail. Now Stephen Fry turns on JK Rowling. Star who narrated Harry Potter books says the author has been radicalized by TERFs and is a lost cause. Let me take you through his comments, which the Mail reports came after he admitted he used to have dinner regularly with the author and described her views towards the trans community as strange. He made these comments while recording the podcast The Show People and said, "She has been radicalized, I fear, and it may be she has been radicalized by TERFs, but also by the vitriol that is thrown at her. It is unhelpful and only hardens her and will continue to harden her, I am afraid. I'm not saying that she not be called out when she says things that are really cruel, wrong, and mocking. She seems to be a lost cause for us." Now, Stephen Fry recorded audiobooks for all 7 of the Harry Potter series, but has now turned his back on the author, accusing her of mocking LGBT plus people and insisting he supports the trans community. He said, "She started to make these peculiar statements and had very strong, difficult views. She seemed to wake up or kick a hornet's nest of transphobia, which has been entirely destructive. I disagree profoundly with her on this subject. I am angry she does not disavow some of the more revolting and truly horrible, destructive, violently destructive things that people say. She does not attack those at all. She says things that are inflammatory and contemptuous, mocking, and add to a terribly distressing time for trans people. She has crowed at the success of legislation in Scotland and elsewhere, declaring things about gender. So I am very happy to go on the record and say I am really angry about that. My view about all things of sharp and difficult nature is that it is much more important to be effective than be right." Now, Stephen had not previously spoken about the row and explained that he had in the past got on well with the author. He said, "I am sorry because I always liked her company. I found her charming, funny, and interesting. And then this thing happened and it completely altered the way she talks and engages with the world now." If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today. F you, Stephen Fry, F you. You actually give all gay men a bad name. Because what you're saying is you don't give a damn about women who are trying to protect the rights of women, because everything is about your woke trans extremism above all else. And the fact that you were actually friends with this woman and she paid you, no doubt, millions and millions of pounds makes you even more despicable. Let me bring in the superstar panel now. Based and Bougie and Steph, the alter nerd. Steph, I am just disgusted by Stephen Fry. Any idea that he had some sort of national treasure status, I think, is long gone.
Yeah, well, prepare to be more disgusted and shocked. He has no idea about biological women whatsoever. This is the dude who 15 years ago turned around and said, somehow, that women do not enjoy sex on the proof that women don't go out and seek sexual encounters for their own sake. That this absence proves somehow women's lack of interest in sex. Now, of course, he has a lack of sexual appetite when it comes to women. Fair enough. But that doesn't mean that we have a lack of sexual appetite in men. Just personally, for me, he's just simply not my type. But ultimately, what he's been spouting this leftist ideology for years, longer than I think anyone actually realizes. It's just coming to the forefront now because more and more people are talking about it. But yeah, he has no idea about biological women. He has no respect for us whatsoever by spouting off what he's now spouting off against JK Rowling. At the end of the day, he should go back to when he believed in science, right? Because science doesn't give a shiz about your feelings. It's fact. Women are women, men are men, based on your chromosomes, and that is it. Biological women, biological men. For anyone to turn around like a trans man or a trans woman and say they're fully woman or they're fully men, scientifically is not fact. And there's nothing wrong in saying that whatsoever because that's the reality of things. Now, if he wants to live in cloud cuckoo land, let him, not a problem. But I'll be damned if he believes that he can drag the whole freaking world into it with him.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Based and Bougie, where do you stand on this?
I couldn't agree more with her. I mean, if you want to live in cuckoo land, go ahead and live in cuckoo land, but don't convince us that we need to be cuckoo with you too. And I feel like Hollywood is such a sleazy, nasty, snaky, community or culture where everybody just kind of uses other people to climb to the top. And once they've got what they've wanted, they just kind of turn their backs on them. We've seen it with, I forgot his name, but he's the guy that's now playing the Black Doctor Who. He,
in QT, who's now been sacked because he was so woke. But first, something really important to talk to you about: scammers and spammers who are out there to ruin your life. We've all experienced more and more of those spam emails, text messages, and robocalls. Not only are they annoying and time-consuming to deal with, but they usually represent a gross invasion of your private information that can cause vast financial and reputational damage. And how the heck did they get your information in the first place, right? Well, it's likely as a result of data brokers who know everything about you, your health information, your relationship status, your mortgage details, and so much more, and then they sell it for a profit. These data brokers can directly or indirectly expose sensitive information to bad actors, putting you at risk of identity theft. The number of data breaches worldwide rises every year. According to the annual data breach report by the Identity Theft Resource Center, went up by 72% in 2023. Now, this means you and your loved ones are at a constantly increasing risk of data breaches as a growing list of data brokers hold your personal information, which is then sold or published online. What's most shocking? You don't even know that this is happening, but it can have shocking consequences, trust me. Health insurance companies could actually raise your rates based on your online activity. Huge loans have been taken under people's names without them even knowing about it. Scammers have even started to use AI to mimic the voices of friends and families to trick victims into sending them money. These imposter scams rely entirely on the voice data they can find online. Now, while you can ask these data brokers to delete your personal information, the process takes hundreds of hours to do manually and requires repetition. But the good news is I have a solution today. It's one that I use. It's something that I personally endorse. Go to incogni.com. That's incogni.com/outspoken. And guess what? You'll get 60% off an annual plan. What Incogni does, and it's amazing, is reach out to these data brokers on your behalf, request your personal data removal, then handles any objections from their side. The whole process is automated, ensuring that your data stays off the market by conducting repeated removals and taking your data down if it pops up again. This is what makes the annual yearly subscription especially advantageous, especially with 60% off. It's such a simple process. You just create an account, grant Incogni the right to work for you, and they will contact the data brokers on your behalf to request your personal data removal. So go to incogni.com/outspoken and get 60% off an annual plan right now. This could be the most important decision you make. But now, back to the show.
Exactly. He was in support of JK Rowling until he got his role. And then he realized he had this pressure to support his rainbow community. And then he absolutely turned his back on her. It's absolutely disgusting, this culture in Hollywood. And not only that, but this idea that trans people are being attacked. Dan, have you ever seen a trans person being attacked on the streets? I haven't seen it, but I have seen women being attacked on the streets. This idea that trans people are under attack is a facade. It's not that you guys are under attack. It's just that you guys are weird, okay? You're a man with lipstick, wearing a wig, trying to convince us you're a woman. That is weird, and it's something that we will never accept as normal. So this idea that these people are living in cuckoo land and they're trying to convince us to be cuckoo with them too, is just not going to happen.
No, I know. And the thing is, what's so interesting, Steph, is it's male celebrities who keep coming for JK Rowling. Now, I have a particular issue with Stephen Fry doing it because, of course, he made all the money and he made hay from the Harry Potter days, just like the Harry Potter cast members. But we've seen it recently from Boy George as well, who tried to say that, you know, she was obsessed and was completely relentless. This was in a whole series of posts about this. And he said, you are cruel, JK. You have started to look cruel in pictures. All this obsession is wearing on your expression, which just feels so completely delusional. And the thing that I find so depressing about Boy George doing this, right, is that this was a guy who literally, I think, summed up the fact that trans doesn't need to exist. Like, you can be a gay man and you can still experiment with wearing women's clothes and that type of thing, but it doesn't make you a woman. He was actually an example of what gay people who wanted to experiment with things used to be. He never claimed that he was a woman. But JK completely owned him, by the way, because she responded to him saying, there are many differences between us, George, but some are particularly relevant to this debate. 1, you're a man and I'm a woman. 2, you've been wealthy and famous since your early 20s. I didn't become well known until I was well over 30. I've never been given 15 months for handcuffing a man to a wall and beating him with a chain. That was number 3. 4, I believe in freedom of speech and belief. For more than half of my life, I was a regular, anonymous person. Some of those years were spent in poverty. That's why I understand the importance of single-sex spaces for women who are reliant on state-funded services. That's why I understand why mixed public changing rooms are a problem for women. That's why I have a problem with men identifying into women's rape crisis centres, domestic abuse and homeless shelters that are supposed to be single sex. I don't stand against gender identity ideology because I personally still need those services, but because my life has taught me exactly how vulnerable women are when they don't have the money or influence I have now. You yourself have been convicted of violent assault. The overwhelming number of people who commit crimes of violence are male, just like you. That's why I don't want to see men identifying into women's prison cells or any of the spaces mentioned above. Not all men are violent or predatory, but enough are to make safeguarding necessary. Lastly, and my God, she owned him, didn't she? She owned him. She said, lastly, I am a writer who believes in freedom of speech and belief. As we both know, the safe, fashionable thing in the arts world right now is to do exactly what you're doing. Parrot and sneer at the unenlightened plebs who think sex is important and matters. For a man who was once all about non-conformity, George, you couldn't have become more predictably or more tediously conformist. And that was, of course, because Boy George had described her as a bored, rich bully. But I would say, my God, he destroyed her, Steph.
Boy George needs to go in a dark room and think about what he's done and what he said, and then come back out.
Sorry, I mean, she destroyed him.
His brain cells.
She destroyed him. Can't believe that in this conversation, I'm the one getting my pronouns wrong. JK Rowling destroyed Boy George. Can I be very clear about that?
Exactly. She destroyed him. Because this is the thing, right? What's really cruel in this whole situation is taking the rights away and identity away from biological women and biological men, all for the sake of diversity. You see, when you're a trans woman, you should be identified as a trans woman. When you're a trans man, you should be identified as a trans man, not biological woman or man. It's as simple as that. And I find it absolutely hypocritical with what Boy George said against JK Rowling, because he has made an absolute killing over the years of dressing up like a woman in his band, selling records. I remember when they first came out in the 80s, that there was actually ambiguity. People were actually questioning, was he man or was he a woman, right? There was a lot of question and ambiguity around that. And he took advantage of that, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, for years to make money off of women. And then he's got the cheek to turn around years later and be like, do you know what? I think it's all right. And this is my kind of thing of what he's saying here. I think it's all right to take the rights and identity away from biological women and biological men and kind of invade those spaces. It's what's happened all through history, really. Men trying to dominate women in every way, shape or form. Here, we've got the lefties and the men, or trans men, I should really say here, trans women, whatever you want to call them, trying to now completely overpower and take over biological women and our spaces. I say, piss off your cowbags. Not happening. Not happening. If you are a biological female, you can go into a biological female changing room. If you're anything other, go to where you were originally born at first, sex-wise.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, based in bougie, fact is, given he is, at one point, someone who was a violent convicted criminal who chained a male escort to his radiator heater, and great that he's turned his life around, right? Like, amazing. I've interviewed Boy George numerous times, and I think it's brilliant when people can turn their life around. But maybe this wasn't the best argument for him to pick with JK Rowling.
Listen, it's the right message, the wrong messenger. That's what it is. With his history, he should have stayed silent. And like, you know, she said he should have just sat in a dark room and thought about what he said. And another thing that annoys me about the way people attack JK Rowling is, where are all the feminists? All the feminists that are always banging on about women's rights, where are they to protect the rights of women? People don't understand that allowing this, you know, just mixing of genders and creating like this even playing field where there is no genders is very, very dangerous. I don't think people are aware, because mainstream media never actually discussed this, but the amount of assault that is happening to not only women, but little children due to the trans community going into women's spaces is absolutely disgusting. So I find it so hypocritical that the feminist movement and just the whole Hollywood community are always banging on about women's right and women's empowerment. But when it comes to men not being in women's spaces, there's absolute silence. It's disgusting.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.